Dude,
That's interesting. A mug to send an email?
I've done a fork.
Oh, we are really getting along.
I grew up in church. Actually, a very highly prized after emotion to be able to withhold is...
Go to the nearest store and grab myself a nice bat.
Yeah.
And go to town.
Yeah.
And well, welcome to the Anderson Show. Well, we're off to a great start. The Anderson Show, episode 4. We have David Martinez in the house.
What's going on?
In these mountains. This guy, the intro I'm going to give him is Stud Muffin.
Oh, man. I wasn't expecting that. I thought I was going to go a different route, but that was good.
Yeah.
That was
so, Stud Muffin. The reason he's a Stud Muffin is USMC vet, father, seems like a pretty good dude to me.
Try to be.
Outdoor guy, big time in the woods, in the mountains. I love the sheep stuff. Some badass photos. So for
Thanks,
that,
man.
Stud Muffin.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. Actually, it's been actually a real short road. In the sense of, I just met you guys a little while back, and here I am now. So I'm excited. It's
yeah,
good.
we've known each other for an hour.
About an hour. Yeah, I met Austin like 48 hours ago. So, but it already feels, the experience is already different than the ones I've had in the past. So
that's good to
excited.
hear. I find that interesting how, especially dudes, right?
Yeah.
Men can really vibe really quickly and fast forward into a relationship based off how they talk, what they say when they talk, and how they present themselves.
Totally.
Really speaks a lot. And if you're one on that same level, that connection becomes very quick.
Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of, especially like you said, on the level of being a man, I can grab a lot from somebody just based off of the respect. The way he speaks to me, the way I speak to him, and like you said, within a couple seconds, exactly the kind of person, the kind of person that you're talking to, and whether or not you can be like, hey, man, I get along with this dude pretty damn good. You know what I mean? Like, we're vibing pretty well. Or be like, oh man, there's just something about this guy. I don't know, you know what I mean? It just doesn't feel the same, It's definitely a vibe thing, but I definitely agree with you on that. Yeah,
it's, when we met, it was just a minute ago.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't a good impression because, I was all over the place.
Oh no! You're a man who's running a company. Yeah. That kind of environment, especially I think that's another thing, like you said, with being a man, is this environment causes us to have to keep our minds in 20 different places, especially just the way the world is now. So I don't take that as offense. I take that as somebody who's diligent to what they're doing while also, trying to grow. I do the same thing. I go to a place, I'm talking to one person while trying to give the same person the same equal amount of respect and the same attention, It's a good thing, you're a busy man, and that's, if anything, that's kudos to you, because you're busy down there for sure.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's worse times than others. Like today, it's just like a little, I'm already kind of foggy today, and I'm like, which is a typical Thursday thing.
It's almost over.
It's almost over, but it's never over.
Because even when you're at home, you're still thinking about the things you got to do. It never actually ends.
It's like I crawl and it's like, oh, I'm so tired,
and then you lay in bed. Hold on, I got to do that tomorrow. I got to call him. Send that freaking email.
Yeah, and then I also be like, do I write this down? If I don't write this down, I'm gonna forget.
I've had the same. Where you'll sit there and be like, should I put this on my calendar right now? Like, well, I'll remember it.
Yeah.
Or things that, I know something funny that I do actually. So if I'm trying to remember something in my house, let's say for the following morning, I'll specifically put something on the counter. Or instead of leaving the coffee mug inside of my cabinet or above my coffee maker, I'll take the coffee mug out and put it in the coffee maker. And I literally say, okay, when I see this mug, when I come downstairs, I know I got to text that guy right now. You know what I mean? First thing in the morning, or I got to send that email. This is the most important thing I got to do. And honestly, it works with me pretty well. At least for me personally. If I just set something up and make a mental note, okay, when I see that mug, when I come downstairs, or when I see that, Dude,
That's interesting. A mug to send an email?
I've done a fork. So when you go in my home, you come from downstairs and it has obviously a winding staircase at my house. And so when you come down, you immediately enter into the living room, and then the kitchen and the living room are obviously connected. So when you come in, it's you're coming in between both rooms. So when I come downstairs, I see my island, and I just put something right there. Fucking coffee mug, forks. One time I stacked 2 forks. I don't know why I do that. I don't know why I've done that before, but it just works. Maybe I'm just too lazy for my phone, but I'm okay, X. This is for call Jim. You know what I mean? Send him that.
That is freaking hilarious. I feel like I do that, but I haven't actually recognized that.
Yeah, you probably do.
I probably do.
Because your mind will associate.
Yeah, because a lot of times I'll associate something. Yeah. And I'm relating to what you're saying, but I don't know if I realize that I'm doing it.
Oh yeah, you're doing it, bro. You're doing it. You're and it'll be something that maybe isn't as direct, you know what I mean? So obviously for you, if I left my holster out, obviously for me that would be obviously you guys, that's more direct. But I think people, we do that stuff all the time, where we'll put something away, or I'll put something there, and it'll just be something totally discreet and not even associated with it. But for some reason in my mind, I said, okay, when I see that, call that guy, email him, send that text, or whatever needs to be done.
How many other people deal with that? I wonder. Does everybody do that?
I don't know. I wonder if that's maybe an ADHD thing, which, we kind of had that conversation already too,
Yeah.
Because I'm very ADHD.
What does it stand for again?
Attention Deficit Hyperactive Disorder.
Yeah.
Right?
What are you smiling at?
I think, am I right? Am I right or am I wrong?
I think the fact that we're not sure proves that we are.
I think I don't do any self-diagnosing, okay? I'm just a little weird.
Oh,
yeah, I'm just a little weird. Yeah.
Roby, you're I'm pretty sure that...
Which I don't think that's always a bad thing, though. I can be obsessive. I can really focus in on something, and I'll do it until I'm the best at it. And then because of it, though, I have noticed as I've gotten older, I don't know how old you are. I'm 39. For me, I've noticed that that's a good and a bad, because it causes me to really dive into something and learn the specifics and learn the exacts of it, you know what I mean, and become proficient at it. But I've also noticed my downfall is that once I feel that I'm proficient enough to where I feel like I succeeded, I kind of leave it alone, and then I get away from it, Yeah. And so as I've gotten older, I've tried to stop doing that, stay with it. Keep learning it. There's always things to learn. Yeah.
Pushing past that pain point, because for me specifically, it's really tough to, I don't know if it's I learning something. Yeah. Unless it really turns me on, it's so hard.
Yeah.
But I've learned I gotta force myself to do it, especially if it's important, right? So if it's important to the business, it's okay, how do you do email marketing? I don't know. Yeah. Well, I have to learn if I want my business to succeed.
Exactly.
So I will have to. I force myself to do things like that a lot.
Yep. I'm the same way.
As uncomfortable as it is, it's and I got really just I saw somewhere, I tried it on my phone. I need to get one of those tap timers.
Haven't seen those.
It's just like an egg timer
on your phone,
at
kind
the
of a
gym
thing,
or something like that. They got a dial, and you can set and you tap it, and it's like a timer.
Okay, so it runs for. It was just on your screen consistently, and then you just turn it on and off, or?
Well, yeah, that's what I was doing on my phone, but I found the phone to be distracting still. So to delete the phone, you get this little puck. You've probably seen it a gym, on a power rack.
I have seen those. Yeah, I have seen those.
Turn the dial, just set the time real quick, push the center of it, and it times down.
Yeah.
When I was doing it on my phone, because I don't have that at this time, the puck thing, it was really helpful to get stuff done faster and stay on the deadline.
Yep.
Just by making little mini deadlines. Bing.
Yeah.
Bing,
hit
bing,
this. Yep.
Okay, I got to get these emails sent in this 10 minutes, and I got to get this price sheet done in this X amount of time.
Yeah.
Beep, and go.
So are you the kind of guy that needs, when you wake up in the morning, or maybe not wake up in the morning, but are you the kind of guy that needs layout for your day?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I've got a note on my phone called Fast Morning.
Fast. Hurry the fuck up.
Yeah, get the fuck going.
Yeah.
I have it broken down.
Okay.
by everything with the business. So like R&D, like when I got R&D stuff, there's constantly stuff going on with R&D, new products, this and that. And then production, blah, blah, blah. I can't remember half of them right now. Then I have it sectioned off again, and then I bullet point off each individual one with keynotes or whatever, like who I got to call, who I got to take care of with that. And then I got the personal one, and I break down the personal stuff too. But like, so I'll print that off, and then I'll pair that with my physical notebook. So I'll make almost every day. I'm pretty religious about this. As much as I do jump around, or have to like control the jumping around for myself personally, I religiously do a notebook, a pad, and it's like I space down, bullet point, not like stacked together, just like nice spaced out. Personal and business, and I just write down my tasks I got to do. Like I have to do the emails for this. I've got to get the R&D bags done. I've got, and I do that at the end of the day, or I'll take it home and I'll do it when I get home. But usually I do it
in
before
preparation for the following day.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'd rather have it. I like to have it done before.
See, I kind of do something like that, but to me, it's more like in my head. But usually, like, so for me, I'll my wife usually wakes up for me usually wakes up with me when I get up in the morning. Before the whole like in these mountains kind of became my life, I've owned a construction company here in Montana. I've been doing construction pretty much my whole life, and I've owned the company now since 2020. And I like to get up in the morning, have my coffee, obviously, but I have become religious in bouncing my day off of my wife. You know what I mean? I'll literally sit there on the couch, and like she'll sit across from me, and I'll be like, okay, so today I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna handle this, and some of it might not even pertain directly to her, but I have found that by me sitting there and vocalizing it, saying, okay, this, and this, whether it doesn't, she don't give a fuck whether the 2x4s get there by 12. You know what I mean? It's like she could care less. But by me vocalizing it to her, obviously it makes not only her feel more included in what's going on in my life, but then also I'm telling her this information, and it's making me remember it without having to write it down. Because I'm like, okay, I'm saying it out loud, you know what I mean? And then sometimes she's even texted me randomly at times, like, hey, did you do that? And I'm like, holy shit, good job. And only because I told her, because I had that conversation with her, maybe she'll come back and, be like, hey, did you do that? And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't. Yes, great, thank you, appreciate it. You know what I mean? So she's kind of like she's kind of like a Siri.
So, fun fact. Okay. So, I completely do the same thing. Okay. And it like locks in for me. Yeah. And then I do get the same text like, hey, that one thing. Yeah. Or like, how's that thing going?
Yeah, how'd that thing go? Oh, you're like, actually? I'm going to call you right now. Yeah.
Yep. Like, ring. Yeah. But sometimes I'll do that thing, then text the, got it done. It's all good to go.
And but then she knows what you're talking about because you told her about it.
Yeah. But like for the female side, how we're supposed to just listen and not solve the problem most of the time.
I've heard that so many times.
You heard that before?
Yo, I've heard it. Just shut up, man.
So like that's our version though. Yeah. Yep. Right? Yeah. Like that's like our job is to fix it, but just listen. They just want to just want to be heard. And that's but us doing that.
We're the fixers. We want to be fixed. Or I mean, we want to fix what's going on with them, but sometimes they just want you to just fucking listen. Just be quiet.
And us talking about the schedule, or even if it's like I have an issue at work where I got these frustrations at work. I've already solved them more than likely, or I know what I'm going to do. I've already solved it, but I got to vocalize it to get it out of my head. Right. And I can't just like say it to the wall. So.
And especially when you can bounce it off someone, obviously your spouse being somebody that you've obviously taken a more serious turn with in the sense of how you are with that person, they're your spouse. But I think, when you're able to bounce it off that person that you have pretty much the most trust in, and they can give you honest feedback, so me and my wife, we're pretty fucking honest. People would probably think that we're arguing when we're talking. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, I'll just, hey, listen, we'll be talking about something, and, I'll be like, well, I just don't, and being truthful, I just don't fucking agree with that. I think that's fucking bad, and people would be like, wow, they must be arguing hard as fuck. Yeah. But then she comes back and she's like, well, I think you're fucking wrong, and But being able, what I have found, especially when it comes to communication between a man and a woman, you know, I think one of the hardest things for people is getting to the point where you can communicate naturally and communicate with your sincere feelings without it affecting the other person.
Yeah.
You know, if you can truthfully tell your wife, I don't agree with the way this is done, or you're having a conversation about whether or not you agree about something with the business, or how you should do this, or what this looks like, or whatever other conversations that you can have, you know, being honest is what's gotten us this far. Me and my wife have been together for over 16 years this year. And for me, it's honestly, dude, the communication is huge. It's like one of those things I think we as men kind of slack on, you know, and I'm not very communicative with other guys. That's just how I am. You know, my wife's like, oh, why don't you go talk to other vets about, you know, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, I just don't. Like, you know, I don't want to have a conversation about it. I don't want to rehash, you know, prior memories. And so I have learned, especially coming out of the Marine Corps, where during my time in, that was very much a shunned conversation. You don't tell people that you're feeling bad. You don't tell people that you are dealing with issues at home, mentally, physically, whether you've been wounded or not. You don't vocalize that, because that makes you less of a Marine. And so I really took that mindset to heart, especially during my time in Iraq and coming home all the times that I did. And obviously, you know, the issues start to build, and then you realize, like, you know, I'm realizing, like, I don't have anybody to talk to because nobody truly understands me. So then that grows even more. And so being able to have a spouse that you can be vocal with and be honest with and have good, clear communication, I mean, that's like one of the best things in the world.
It's super rare.
Yeah. Which I am finding out too when I talk to people too, because I have guys that'll talk to me and I'm like, okay, like I see that they don't have it the same way.
It doesn't exist, and I've only recently, you know, discovered it.
It took years.
You know? Yeah, you know?
It took years.
And like, but like there becomes, I think the key to that is like a mutual. There has to be some serious trust and respect for each person to the other in order for you to accomplish that. Yeah. In order, because like my partner and I were down picking up a vehicle in Hamilton. Okay. So we're down to pick up this vehicle, and we are just like, we're being weird. Okay. But like, we're in public, we don't give a shit. So we're just like,
who cares, man?
We're talking shit to each other. Like, are you shitting me? Like, no, I don't want that. Just like that. Just like,
being honest.
Dude, this sales guy's like, are you guys good?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we're fucking great.
I've had people come do the same thing. They're like, is everything okay? We're like, oh, we're good.
We stopped at this stop one time at a different time. We stopped at a gas station, coming back from Salt Lake City. Stopped at this gas station. These kids are stopped and talking to me about my truck. She gets out. She walks around the back. She's going to go in the store. But instead of walking to the store, she walks around back. What did she say? She walked right past me in front of these two kids that were talking about my truck. And they're like, what did she say? She said, you shut your mouth or some shit, like just super vindictive. And I'm like, and right, like just right in my face as she walks by.
See, but you know that's play.
Yeah. And then I was like, what did I say back to her? I don't think I said shut your mouth. I think I said, what'd you say to me, woman? Yeah. I think there was an F-bomb in there for sure. But
I was going to say,
these two kids are like, they're like
the same thing with my wife.
16 cents. Like, these are just kids. It's like,
they're like, oh shit.
Down.
They're arguing hardcore. Yeah. But you guys are just, I do that. I mean, like, if you heard me playfully talking to my spouse, you'd probably think that
you're a demeaning asshole. Yeah.
Because like I'll walk to her and I'll be like, oh my God, I'm gonna beat your ass. I'm gonna beat your ass. You know what I mean? Like, she knows I'm totally playing, and obviously, you know, but people from the outside, you know, obviously I look a certain way, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's definitely in the more like jailhouse form. Yeah. And so, you know, me walking around and, you know, like obviously being playful and you know, maybe saying something, whether at like in line at Target or whatever, wherever it may be, you know, I can imagine that people he beats the shit out of her.
Yeah, you combine all that you're right for profiling.
Right? Yeah.
You're
like,
right for profiling.
Call the police. Just call him. Call him. There's a Mexican guy here, a bunch of tattoos.
Yeah, but he's got teardrops on his face, like
in a Target too. So he even stands out even more.
Yeah, that's a white chick store.
But yeah, I mean, that's the communication part that grows with time. You know what I mean? Like once you're with somebody for so long and you really start to feel each other out and you respect each other. Because I would never say those things when I'm having a real ass argument with my wife. You know what I mean? Because then, obviously that's going to escalate it to something that it shouldn't be. You can't tell somebody, I'm gonna beat your ass. You know what I mean? And in a real argument, you tell your wife that you're gonna have some problems. You know, there's gonna be some real words are gonna start coming out. And but once you can make it to that point, then it's nice, because then you really have somebody to talk to. You have somebody to bounce ideas off of, bounce troubles and somebody that you can at least speak to at least give you a hug from carrying the daily load, especially we as fathers do, and as men of this modern type world. I mean, we juggle businesses, whereas guys 50, 60 years ago worked at one job for 30 years. You know what I mean? And in this day and age, it's almost like you have to be working 24/7 to make any kind of dent, to make any kind of push for at least a decent life for you and your family. And so I feel like a lot of men now, in this day and age, we need to find that person that's somebody that we can dude, we need hugs too, man. You know what I mean? And I'm not, hey man, sometimes, I was very much one of those dudes that was like, don't cry, but at the same token, it's like, dude, sometimes, man, you got to let it out.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
The world can be a very harsh, tough place, and I think that we could do better if that was more of a common understanding. You can be a killer. Yeah. But you can also be a loving husband, and a man that is a loving father, a gentle man as well. What's that one guy, Jordan Peterson? He says something about there's something about somebody that can be lethal, but they hold it back. I can't remember the exact quote, but it was like, and
warrior in a garden kind of thing.
Yeah, like, and the fact that, you can be a freaking, you can be a killer. But the fact that you can hold it back and love on your daughters and love on your children and love on your wife and be that soft man for them, that's what takes it to the next level. That's what then they grow up and say, fuck, I want to be like my dad. Or your daughters are like, man, I'm looking for a guy that's like my father. He always took care of my mom. He always supported us, but he'd get under the truck and he'd fix this. And, the dude was, somebody that I could get behind as a daughter and feel protected, at the same time, which I think for us as men it's very important. Yeah, it's important.
I think it's very important. And you've got 3 kiddos?
Yeah, 3. Yeah, 11, 10, and 7. Oh, right. Yeah, and my youngest one has my youngest one has cystic fibrosis, which was like totally unexpected because it's not in any of our family genetically, and so just having that was it's like, dude, that's like having a whole nother kid. We had 4 children. I had 4. And then our youngest one passed away shortly after he was born. And then we just, at that point, I was like, I'm done having kids. Like, that was it, and that one was a rocker for me, honestly.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. That one shook me spiritually. I've always had a odd kind of how do I say this? Okay, so I grew up in church.
We are really getting along.
I grew up in church.
Yeah.
My dad's a pastor, or at least he was.
Yeah.
Hasn't really preached or done anything recently, but I grew up, man, hardcore church. Church twice a week, Sunday, Thursday, double services on Sunday. My dad was one of the main. Growing up, my dad had his own church, and then we moved to Ohio when I was in like 5th or 6th grade, somewhere in there. I honestly can't remember, but moved to Ohio, and he became associate pastor of a really big, well-known church that had associates of people like T.D. Jakes, what's that one guy, Joel Osteen.
Yeah.
So I kind of grew up around all those people, being in the back room, eating dinner with all these people, and being around these people. And at first, I didn't know any better, so I was, it wasn't like I was into church super hardcore as a 17-year-old, but I mean, it was so much a part of my life that it was nothing that I ever thought that I would get away from. And then I joined the Marine Corps, and when I got deployed, and I seen there's a movie quote from the movie Fury that I've always been like, that's probably one of the baddest quotes I've ever heard, was Shia LaBeouf tells the new guy who's coming into the tank unit, coming onto their tank to be their new gunner. And he goes, have you ever been to war? And he goes, no. And he goes, just wait till you see it. And he goes, see what? And he goes, just wait till you see what a man can do to another man. And honestly, and that movie came out years later after my time in the Marine Corps. But that's really what shook me on the spiritual stuff, is like, it was really hard for me to find God out there. You know what I mean? You see what happens out there, and you're like, dude, where's God at? And I don't want to make this a spiritual conversation, because I really, whatever. But, that was the shaker for me. That shook me good. And then when my son died, then I was like, dude, what the fuck? I mean, like, where are you at, man? Like, come on, dude, help me out a little bit. You know what I mean? All my tribulations that I've gone through since being 17, 18, and then now I get this, and it's like, I feel like I've lived 4 lives compared to other people, and I see other people that have like 0 trials, and things that are like really pushed against them as a person, and like experiences that would really cause anguish for people, and they never experience anything. And then I see them, and I'm like, how come they don't,
That's interesting. I was just talking about this. Why they don't? Why don't they? Like you just said, like maybe it's a selfish thing. Maybe we're just selfish and self-absorbed. I don't know. But like,
nah, man. But like, I mean,
but like, it's like some of the the shit that I have been through, just in the last 3 years, right? It's like,
am I the only one getting hit like this?
Right. It's like, and you look around, it's like, that term ignorance is bliss?
Oh, yeah.
That shit's true.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's like, what in the heck?
Yeah.
I'm like, how are you like, I don't even know what to say. It's like, how are you like even, what about you?
Yeah.
Not that I want anything bad to happen to anybody else.
No.
But we must be.
Did I do something in a past life? Am I like paying for it now? Like, I don't know if I believe all that people believe what they believe, and obviously I just throw out ideas. But I've sat in the car. I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
Like, what have I done?
I think I found a reasonable direction towards an answer.
Okay.
And here's my thought process: is like, well, I want more. Okay. Spiritually, relationships, business. Like, I don't want $1 billion in cash sitting in a ground somewhere. I don't want that. When I mean I want more, like, do I want cash? Yeah, of course I do. But who doesn't want cash?
But outside of like,
but like, I want to grow. I want to do things, experience things. I want to build this business and then build another business and build another business and have relationships and go do cool and fun things. Well, you can't do. I'm getting to a point. You can't do those things if you don't apply yourself, right? So because you want something more, you're pushing towards something bigger, better for yourself, for your family, you're actually putting in the work and the effort.
Yeah.
You can't get to the points of places you want to be, that next level of energy or whatever. You can't get there without trials to mold you to get there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there has to be some hardship.
There has to be something to train you, to mold you, to create that. Because like the guy sitting here now, the amount of stress that I can handle, is stupid.
Oh yeah,
and it will cripple most people.
Yeah,
and they'll be like, dude, how because I'll make having a beer and it's somebody that I relatively trust, or whatever, and I'll be talking about so how's this going? So I'll like list off, kind of do chit-chatting about things that I'm dealing with. And I'm just like, this, that, and the other things. Like, how are you, like, what do you mean, like, what are you going to do? I was like, I don't know.
Figure it out.
I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, because, like, I don't have all the answers, right? I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
And, you just got to trust that you're going to figure it out. And I think that's the difference.
Yeah. being okay with not knowing
being
and
okay
just
with
letting
not knowing,
it happen.
which is hard enough.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because everybody wants to know, everyone wants a guarantee.
Securities.
I want them.
Yeah, totally.
I wish I had a roadmap. Do all of this.
Yeah, and you'll
find business
and
success.
You'll be fantastic.
Yeah, and I was like, done.
And you'll not have to worry about the phone bill coming out of your bank account. God damn it.
Yeah, exactly. Like how many times I've had my business bank account negative?
Oh man,
it's ridiculous amount of times.
Dude,
it's a ridiculous amount of times. It's like,
dude, I have stories, man. You know what I'm saying, dude? I got stories, dude. I remember sneaking into my kids. This is funny, but like this is real. This is daily shit for a lot of people. You know what I mean? And it is. I remember sneaking into my son's room one time. I needed money for gas.
Oh no!
So I go dig in the piggy bank. I pull some money out. Later on that day, my wife calls me and she's like, "Did you take money from David's thing?" Oh, no. And I'm like, "Oh
the
shit!"
one time he checks.
The one time he's sitting there awake at like 5 a.m. He was like sitting there not asleep.
He was watching you.
So then, so then I'm like, oh man. So but in the end though, like in the same token, I kind of take that now as like. That's a great I mean, I think it was like $10. I gave the $10 back. But what I'm saying is
it's on record.
Yeah, it's on record. The money went back in the piggy bank. But what I'm saying is you know what? For my son, like I take those experiences as like, don't feel bad about yourself if that's the little bit that you got to do to get everybody by when you're an adult. Mm-hmm. Don't take it as like, damn it. Like I must be a piece of shit because I gotta, I gotta take $10 out of my son's piggy bank. It's just, that's the reality of where I'm at. Mm-hmm. And that's the reality of where I was at the time. Man, I'm sorry, dude. I gotta get gas, but I'll pay you the $10 back. You know what I mean? And obviously I wanted to do it without him knowing. But in the end, now I look at it as like, yeah, dude, you are always fed, toys to play with, always had a bed to sleep in, new clothes to wear. And yeah, man, one time I needed $10, but that's, and if that happens to you, it's okay.
Yeah.
Life gets hard sometimes. And it's okay if you got to do, you got to do a little fudging sometimes. That's okay.
Yeah.
Not everybody's perfect and not everybody has, like I said, the amount of money in their bank account all the time to not worry about the fact that you got the phone bill coming out tomorrow. You know what I mean? And you're just like, fuck, dude, I got like $50 in there after that, or I'm negative. It's okay. Yeah. And I think that a lot of men, like a lot of guys, and I think men in general, we always try to keep that from happening. And our pride is always on the line. Mm-hmm. My pride as a man and my pride as a father, especially towards my son, is always, to me, it's always on the line. And I always want him to be proud of whatever I do, but I also want him to understand that I was a regular guy. You know how you ever heard that saying before, like when kids have a father, about the time when they're like 15 or 16, they start to realize 15, 16, maybe even like into their 20s, I don't know. But they start to realize that like he was just a guy. He wasn't actually a superhero. You know what I mean? Or he wasn't something that was like, that you held him up to. And a part of me wants my son to see me that way, but then the other part of me I want him to see me the way of being a real man, because I want him to, not a real man, but I'm saying like a regular guy, because I want him to be okay with when times get tough. It's just how it is, This is just dude shit,
When he's older, he's gonna remember that at some point, multiple times over his
and I hope
course
that we
of his
laugh
life.
about it.
Yeah,
Remember that time my dad took $10, and then when I'm 80, be like, oh my God, yeah, man, I was so broke, and I want to be able to tell him that and be able to laugh about it, because I want him to see that's okay. That's real world. I wasn't trying to always put the facade in front of him of like everything's fine, everything's good. Like people that I actually read a study that said couples that argue in front of their kids, like healthy argue, like have a debate, not like screaming at each other and throwing shit, but I mean like, okay, well, maybe have somewhat of a, what do you call that? A
dialogue?
A tussle?
A tuffle
Or a tussle, whatever that's called, whatever the right word is.
Yeah.
A tussle, I think it's a tussle. I read that it was actually healthy because it shows kids that resolution can be accomplished even though there's intimate and I can't think of the right word, but I'll just say dramatic dialogue between two people.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to end with you're wrong, I'm right.
Yeah.
It can be like, let's talk. we're going to argue for a second, and then we come to a resolution, and then we're good.
Yeah.
And I've read a few times that's actually a very good thing for children to see, and not always see that everything's perfect. Like, you know, those parents that go hide in the room, and you know, I already kind of said it. Damn it. My wife has told me before that she's like, I never remember my parents arguing. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, why? And she's like, I don't know, I just don't know. Which could be a good sign. Obviously, her parents are still married, you know, as are mine, because they don't believe in divorce. No, I'm just kidding.
That is mine, though.
I'm not gonna say that. I'm totally playing. I'm totally playing. I'm totally playing. My parents have been together for like 20-something years. Yeah, they're like best friends. But the point I'm trying to make is like, she said that.
So funny,
she said that to me, and I'm like, really, you know? And so, I think because of that, my wife, when I first met her, she was very passive, didn't really know how to argue. Mm-hmm. So it was very much like, you know, she was always like, sure, whatever. Okay, yeah, I'll do whatever you do. There was no like, I don't like that. Mm-hmm. And over the years, and even if you asked her now, you know, I always kid and say the only reason she has a backbone is because I told her, have a backbone. Mm-hmm. Tell this person I don't want to go there. Tell this person I'm not going to be there. Yeah. Tell them I don't like that. You know what I mean? And I think a part of that is because, you know, she never seen people have opinion, an argument to the point where you're like, I don't agree with you, you know, or I don't want to do that. You know, it was always very hidden from her. So when she came to me, I've been with my wife since she was like 18. I was 23 at the time. She was 18. No, 19. She was 19. Yeah, and I was like 23, about to be 24. And so being in the Marine Corps at that time, I was very like confident in myself, very direct. Like I could tell you something, and I am the same way now, obviously from my own personality. But the Marine Corps really honed that in, especially during. I was supposed to be a drill instructor, but I got wounded and then I got medically discharged. So that was the part of my re-enlistment, was to become a drill instructor. And so I was already doing the prelim stuff and already very much gearing towards that when I got wounded and then was sent to Wounded Warriors on Camp Pendleton. And so when I met her, here's somebody who's like very like quiet, reserved, you know. And then here's somebody who's completely not, maybe not reserved, but like I'm very confident in myself, which I am like that regularly, but you know, I'm very confident in myself. And so, you know, her parents not being that way, being vocal and being confident in themselves in front of her, I feel like kind of made her very standoffish and maybe not shy, but just like didn't know how to vocalize her opinion.
Yeah, and if you're not exercising, you don't have the skills, you know.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And her not seeing it, they can argue and be good.
Yeah.
So when we had our like first arguments, when we first got married, oh shit, you know, are you leaving me? Like, no, I'm just fucking not agreeing with you. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it was always the worst possible outcome was in her mind, because she didn't really understand that like we can argue and disagree, but I mean, you know, I'm not leaving. I'm gonna go watch TV. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. I think it's pretty lost, in my opinion. Oh, actually, this is fact. So, like, it is lost where you can present an opinion to someone. You can present your direct opinion on a matter at that time, instead of going and telling Jim, John, and Joe about so-and-so and how you disagree with so-and-so, instead of telling so-and-so. Right? Give you an example. So I'm very much this way, right? Right, Zeb? Would you agree with that?
He's like,
but I get people who can't receive it. Yeah. You're an asshole.
Yeah.
Right? So totally. Like, I get that all the time. Like, Tim's aggressive, Tim's an asshole. No, I understand I'm a little brash when I present some of the times, right? But like, that's just coming from the receiving end, where they never talk to that way.
Yes.
And they think it's aggressive. It's like, I'm just talking to you because I want to put the fries in the bag and I want this communication to be direct, to the point, and accomplished, and we get the end result. Done. Out. Yeah. Like, I don't want all the fluff. So, but anyways, like, I'm at my son's baseball game like 2 weeks ago. Okay. If not even that. I'm coaching one of the kids' teams, and then I'm at the boy that I'm not coaching's team, so I'm watching. And he's out in right field, and he gets he gets a hit out there, picks it up, and he throws it to first base. Okay, cool, great. It was actually a fine throw at first base and missed it. Like didn't grab it. It was a little off to the side, but it was a catchable throw. So all of a sudden, coach runs him in, swaps him out. I'm like, the fuck?
Yeah.
What do you feel like you're doing?
Put my fucking kid back in.
Yeah, like, fuck off. And, but like, I immediately had those thoughts. I'm like, okay, cool. I have to regulate those thoughts. Let's figure out an alternative reason why he did that. So this is what I'm doing before I go and talk to the coach. I got to end this all here. Right? So I'm like, okay. And I'm talking with my lady, and it's like, what the fuck was that? Blah, 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 blah. I was like, and she's like, well, I won't tell you the part. So I decide to come up with the idea that he has been getting rotated. And he was just on the wrong rotation. Okay, so I came up with that. I was like, that's best. That's
probably the most plausible. Yeah.
Right? He didn't just pull my kid because he made a throw to first. And you know.
And it didn't turn out as good as he hoped.
As you wanted to. And I'm like, when every one of these other kids are making the same or mistakes, shitty throws like anybody else, and at that day he was batting very well. He was getting on base every single time. So, you know, most ways through the game. So I'm like, there's no reason to pull him because he's playing well. And so he comes in. So I make up like, okay, he probably just got the wrong rotation. So I go over, I talk to him. You know, like, hey, coach, you know, like I wait for the right time. You know, I'm not going to confront him in front of everybody. So he's walking out with the banner, game's over, and I go, hey, coach, quick word.
Motherfucker. No,
Right. But like, I mean, your intrusive thoughts go there immediately when you see something.
Like, dude, what the fuck? Yeah. That's where you want to go.
That's where you want to go.
But you got to be professional.
You got to be the dad. And you got to, people need to do that more. Side note on that. People need to do that fucking more and self-regulate their damn emotions. Like, we all get pissed. We all get frustrated. We all get annoyed. People drive us crazy. Everyone drives everybody else crazy. Everybody hates humans, right? We get it. But, like, can y'all regulate your emotions a little bit? Instead of your initial reaction is to scream and yell.
That's becoming actually a very highly prized after emotion to be able to withhold is, you know, somebody that can regulate and be professional even though they're in a non-professional environment. Like, people don't do that anymore.
Like, I mean, just like, I'll be getting screwed over for $25,000 and I'm like,
that's what you want to say.
I want to fly down to wherever they're at and go to the nearest store and grab myself a nice bat and go to town. And that sounds bad because that's like,
no, but that's true though.
But like, I want to do that because they're fucking me. And do I do that? No, I do not. I wouldn't say it on record. I would admit it if I did. But,
I mean,
anyways, back to what I was saying. So I confront him about it. I was like, hey, and I just asked him straight, right to his face, right to his eyeballs. Why'd you pull my son? He was completely honest. He didn't see it, and he had punished another kid for doing the same thing from throwing to first, and he didn't see what all had happened. But the other coach had told him. Like, he threw to first, and he just knee-jerk reaction. Well, he told me that he made a mistake. Shouldn't have done it. Like, I realized after it happened,
it was wrong.
And I fucked up. So, and I fucked up for these two, you know, whatever reasons. Like, okay, did you tell him that? He's like, I did tell him that.
Okay, good.
I was like, in those words specifically. He's like, yes, I did, almost verbatim. I was like, thank you.
And we're good.
We're good.
As long as he understands he didn't do anything that was
right. You know, and he made it right with my boy, because that's very confusing. He's like, because like otherwise he's gonna go home like, man, fuck,
what did I do wrong?
I was hitting good, and, like, and I was picking up everything that got hit to me, and then like that happened. Like he has, you know, he's gonna force him to deal with it. Well, the other day I'm at the game and I'm hanging outside the dugout watching to the fence, watching my boy play, watching the team. Coach comes out, talks to me. He's like, hey, I just want to say I really appreciate how you approached me the other day. Like, so it's possible to be direct. And
have it be appreciated.
And have it be appreciated. That's what I'm getting at. So it's like, and like otherwise I would do the same thing. That potentially my son would have been doing, is like running around and bitching about to the lady, and then fuming over my head like, oh man, that coach, building up these stories against this person, when those stories don't need to be. I don't need to like put him down in my head, and the next interaction I have with him is I'm treating him poorly, because that's something I've built up in my head about him that I should have confronted and verified that, you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
So it's like, I'll say it. I'm proud of myself for that.
Yeah.
I'm
well,
proud.
again, it's like one of those things that a lot of people don't do, man. Like, it's like being able to be professional and direct and it be taken as professional is like, it's kind of like a dying art. You know what I mean? It's like people have lost a way of being respectful, but also being direct. You know what I mean? You can make your point be known without it being a full-on fist fight. You know what I mean? And we can have a man-to-man conversation and be serious with each other, and relay the feelings of one person to another. Men think that being somebody or immediately taking things directly to a physical emotion is being more manly. When
it's weakness.
Yeah, when being able to stand with the energy that you're being approached with being negative, and somebody that's maybe, obviously, if the person is physical with you, that changes things, and I'm just going to say that. But for the most part, being able to stand and take that energy while also still being respectful and professional yourself. I mean, that to me says a lot about somebody's character. You know what I mean? Because in the pressure of like, I'm gonna fucking knock this dude out. You know what I mean? I'm gonna fight this dude. In the pressure of wanting to do that. Being able to say, okay.
Yeah. I mean, during those circumstances, because we've all been in those, right?
Oh, yeah.
And like where I am, I can't. I'll still position myself like this person's being aggressive.
Oh yeah.
I'll slowly shift.
That's natural man shit.
Slowly,
that's natural
and
guy stuff.
I'll be ready for fucking. But I ain't starting it.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna try and de-escalate it.
Yeah.
But.
So do you want to hear a story about a physical one for me?
Of course.
This is funny. Okay. So I'm out elk hunting for like the first 2 weeks of bow season here in Montana. So it's probably like September 15th, September 20th, somewhere in there. And during bow season, I'm very much like, I'm pretty dedicated. I'm a public land bow hunter. You know what I mean? Hunting elk, it's not fucking easy, and so kudos to all the dudes that do that. But so I come home. I've been out, I think, camping in a tent, literally. And I come home for like 2 days. I think it was like Saturday, Sunday. So I come home Friday night, hang out Saturday with the family. You know what I mean? I think we, went out to eat somewhere and hung out, and I don't know, went and walked around at Target because there's really nothing to do in Montana.
Except yell at your wife at the register.
Get drunk, yell at your wife, and go walk around a store. And so we went and did something. I don't know, but we had a good time. Okay, so then Sunday, I'm like, I'm leaving Sunday evening to be back in hunting by Sunday evening, again Monday morning. And so I take my wife, I'm like, let's go to breakfast. She's like, okay, yeah, let's go to breakfast. And I'm like, let's just do something quick, like we don't gotta just me and you. The place is right down the street from our house. My son's old enough, he does the babysitting for an hour or two or whatever. So needless to say, we go down the street, we sit down, and my wife's like, I just want something quick. And I'm like, yeah, me too. Let's just, get a nice cup of coffee. We'll get something quick and be out. Okay. So we order off of the fast menu, right? It's like, if you're in a hurry, it literally says this on the menu. If you're in a hurry, order from this menu. And I order from it. I think I ordered an egg sandwich is what I ordered. Me and my wife. It was an egg sausage sandwich. Dude, we're sitting there for a fucking hour, okay? And I'm the kind of person, like, nobody's offered me anything to drink. Like, I am very much, like, it's just me as a person. Like, when I walk into a restaurant, I lived in California for, like, 10 years during my time in the Marine Corps. I was on Camp Pendleton for half of my time in the Marine Corps. So I understand, like, busy, and then I understand, like, not busy. And so I'm in this restaurant. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, can I at least get something to drink? Like, so the guy finally comes up. I get something to drink. I think he gave me an orange juice, and then he walks away. And then, like, either way, the whole thing takes about 45 minutes. The guy comes up, hands me the sandwich. It's cold. And so then I'm like, my reaction is like, not, I wasn't being physical, but I was definitely like, I want you to understand, like, you're gonna have to like reheat this or something. And at this point, dude, just fucking reheat it, because I don't even care. Either way, I'm like, man, this is cold. I was like, that took 45 minutes. and he gets pretty fucking mad. Okay, now this is the part that like, okay, so listen to this. So he gets pretty fucking mad, and he's like yelling at me in the restaurant in front of all these people. Now I don't know if this guy had something going on. I don't know
Had
what.
to have, but yeah.
I don't know what was going on. People that do know him have never. As a matter of fact, one of his people that knows him very well was like, dude, I can't imagine that he did that. Either way, he gets mad. He's yelling. Okay, so then he goes, so he says something like, well, the conversation escalates to, well, you're not allowed to fucking eat here anymore. I'm like, what the fuck? He takes his whole fucking hand and he fucking smashes it in my wife's sandwich.
Yeah, that's where he fucked up.
Dude, smashes, bro. Boom.
Yeah.
And then takes the plate away.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the last time I got in a fight, I was in the Marine Corps, and while I was in the Marine Corps, I mean, it was we called it the pit, dude, because we were always. I mean, you got 8 guys between the ages of 18 and 21, all crammed in barracks. You know what I mean? Like, there's testosterone flowing, dude. There's fist fights. There's arguments. Oh fuck yeah! Like, we always just called it the pit. Either way, so it's been a while, dude. As soon as I seen him smash my wife's food, for me, that was it. Like, I was like, fuck you. I stood up, I shoved that dude so fucking hard in the middle of the, and dude, I'm like 38, I'm almost 40. Okay, so this kind of behavior for me is out of the ordinary for me. You know what I mean? I'd rather take the high road of being respectful. I'm like, you know what? You're fucking good. Don't worry about it. I'll pay for it. Talk to you later. But as soon as I seen him smash that fucking sandwich and it blew up all over my table, and he tried to like pull the plate away from her, dude, I stood up and shoved him, and I was ready to fight him. I shoved him, he fell, everybody in the restaurant stood up. You know, people was like, don't do it, you know, and guys were like, dude, just leave, like, and I think it was a lot of like, it wasn't anger at me, it was like, dude, just leave before you fight this guy, because I would have fought him at this point as well, too. You know what I mean? I would have definitely threw a punch at him. But, you know, I think about it now, and I'm like, I mean, I was good until you did that. You know what I mean?
Well, he could have done it to yours. And you'd have been fine.
Yeah.
But
okay, here's the thing. He didn't
to
smash my plate, but he took my plate and then smashed my wife's.
See, yeah.
When he took my plate, I was like, dude, I'm like, are you fucking serious? And then when he took my wife's, that was it.
Yeah.
You know? I'm like 5'9" on a good day with decent sleep and thick socks. Yeah. But I'll fucking fight you. I don't give a fuck how it goes. You know what I mean? I might get my ass beat, but I sure as fuck ain't gonna let nobody treat my wife like that. You know what I mean?
That's where it turns on.
Yeah.
Like when as soon as you said that, it's like I was like, your plate. Then you said your wife. I was like, that's it. I understand.
Yeah.
It's like you could do that shit to me all day long, and I can likely tolerate it. But like as soon as it's something to do with my kids, something to do with. You know,
yeah, man.
You know,
she's gonna laugh when she hears this. She's like, "Oh my God, you told that story."
You told that story.
I had to. It was so relative. Like, yeah, I mean, as soon as you, I mean, I can be pulled in for myself, like you said. As soon as it's wife or kids, dude, it's like,
dude, everything is. All chains are off, or all bets are off. Like it is like.
You think that's a nature thing?
It's gotta be. It's gotta be a man thing, because like I'm struggling to find an example. I know I've done. Similar things multiple times.
You can't though. I mean, then technically that's a plus. And I'm technically that's a good thing.
But like those things have happened.
Yeah.
But like the immediate awareness, like basically adrenaline dump, I guess it would be, is like you're chill, you know, everything's fine. And then as soon as it involves who you are responsible for.
Yeah, there you go. You're right.
As soon as it involves that, it is on like Donkey Kong, and it takes a nanosecond to activate.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's a feeling. Like as soon as it happens, it's like the trigger in your brain.
Yeah.
Like I'm here to protect them. Even if it's a sandwich, you know what I mean? You've obviously disrespected me.
It wasn't a sandwich at that point.
Yeah, you've obviously disrespected me. You've completely disrespected my wife, who I take full charge over as a husband. You know what I mean? I don't know about you, but I mean, at least in my own house, me and my wife are very traditional, you know, with the whole like, you know, husband to wife standards, you know what I mean? We're just very traditional. And so for me, I mean, dude, him smashing that sandwich, that was we could have fist fight for sure. Like we could have squared up right in there, and I'd have fucking gave it all I got. You know what I mean? But I mean, you know, I think that's very much that's a man thing. And I've always, you know, because men are just like that in general, but it's being like that for the right reasons.
Yeah,
that sets us apart.
How many like? I'm gonna get mad. So how many times have we? It's like, okay, I know that I've done that, and I have, and according to your story, you know, you rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
Like switch is on, it's go mode, and it's all bets are off. It's time to take things down. But like that's also rare too, right? So like how many like dudes are like you've seen all these videos of these fucking cowards. They got a swinging dick between their legs. They're supposed to be a man. Yeah. But, you know, they just look the part for a minute. And, like, how many times, like, they're with their lady? Like, have you seen videos like that?
I have.
I mean, we've all seen
like on Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
and you're like, how the fuck is that dude doing that?
I get furious. And then I also get kind of furious if I see him with other people who I know are pussies. And I'm like, and they're like, oh, my God, I would never allow that. I'm like, dude, yeah, you would.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you're like, you shut the fuck up. You do too. You know, like, so both ends of the fact that pisses me off. But like, it drives me fucking crazy. And like, I don't know. It's the same thing as like when you're being direct and you're trying to communicate and you're directly communicating and it offends so many people. It's the same thing. It's just rare. Yeah. It's just rare.
And you know, I put that together with, I'm obviously very much a movie person. You know what I mean? I love movies and
I don't know how that's
cinematography.
Obvious, I get it now. I guess that would be okay. Yeah, okay. It's not obvious to me.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm like a big movie guy. Since I was like young. But so I think movies have great lines, and I'll say this one because it correlates to what we're talking about in the sense of being able to fight, but then keeping your composure. So in the movie Braveheart, there's a scene where the little boy, where William Wallace as a boy runs up to his father. At the beginning of the movie, his father and his brother leave to go fight the English, right? So the father leaves him at home, leaves William at home. Well, right before they leave, William wants to go and fight with them. And he runs up to his dad and he's like, hey, I want to go. And and then the dad's like, no, you can't, you know. And so then he looks at his dad, he says something like, I can fight, like I can handle my own. And the dad says, I know you can fight, but it's your wits, it's our wits that make us men. So it's not about being brash and tough to show force. You know what I mean? Because we know we can show force, but it's our way that we handle the situation and navigate through the path of whatever situation that we're in is the reason why we as men are the leaders, and our wives, our spouses, our children, they're following that guidance because it's the wits of being a man and the way I dissect and I take things apart and I move my family through whatever we're going through, whether it's, you know, hard money times or fuck, man, you know, no gas. My family has always been fed. My family has always had a place to sleep. And there have been times where there was zero money in the fucking bank. You know what I mean? But I'm over here fucking dropping shit off at the pawn shop to get me through the next 4 days because my check's coming and these fucking assholes didn't pay me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It happens.
Yeah, it does happen. I mean, this building we're in right now is 9,000 feet. Right? Yep. It's a big building.
Yeah, it's
I got the
huge.
color scheme that I want. I'm gonna have a name, the sign out front. It wasn't even a year ago, and I was living in my shop with my kids for a period of time.
Yeah.
Like, shit happens.
But your family was taken care of.
They were taken care of.
You as a man did what was required to make sure that the outcome for everybody else. You know, I always think of it like this. Like I would be underwater and push my family above the water. That's kind of how I see life as a man. But I take pride in that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Same. And and having a woman who, since we're on this topic, like having a woman who respects that and is partnered with that is huge. And it's super rare today, anyways. And it's like, because you have so much power when you're both on that same wavelength. Because the fact is, I mean, you're right. Like we have wits, man. Like we like who's building these bridges? Who's building these towers?
Dude, you think about the guys that were walking across, 1880 something. Guys like Jim Bridger and all those frontier guys, like. They were fucking smart, you know what I'm saying, and brave as fuck to be able, like you said, wits. It takes wits to do that. You can't just like, I'm gonna go walk out in the woods. I'm gonna head that direction until I see the water. Yeah,
it's survival of the fittest, and now we're in a time in history where it's like you don't have to be fit to survive.
No, yeah,
you don't have to be wit. You don't have to be wit to survive.
Do you think that this is probably the first time in history where it has been like that? Do you think this is it? Because I think about previous generations.
I mean, probably. I don't think so. I mean, every empire has fallen.
Yeah.
Right. So like, you got the Romans, like in the city. I mean, they didn't have as many luxuries as we do. Obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, I bet they got sloppy.
Oh yeah.
I bet they did. The English, I mean, I guess, that's a different century. So,
But I mean, still within the same criteria of like an empire that eventually it's going to come down.
Yeah.
Eventually it's going to slow down.
I mean, it's probably more so, I don't know. I don't think so. My opinion. I don't think so. But I think it's definitely, I mean, it's easier to say because we're in it now, but I think it's to a larger scale, right? Because I mean, there's how many people in the U.S.?
I just looked at it,
60 million.
No, it was like 360 million, 350 million, something like that.
Yeah, so 350 million. I was just reading
something about that.
And what's the obese percentage? I don't even know.
Oh man, it's over 50%.
Yeah, so like, there's a bunch of fat fucks out there.
Yep. That would be dead if it was
right.
Yeah.
But like, you got air conditioning, climate control, houses, medication, your government's taking care of you. Like you can't not die, like we take care of you, So maybe this is
well, because I mean, I think about it like, I mean, you think about the previous generations from before, like, I mean, everybody always says that, World War II is considered the greatest that era between like 1920 World War I all the way up to like World War II, that generation of people. I mean, dude, those are some hard motherfuckers, man. You know what I mean? Obviously, like the guys I also think in the 1800s as well, especially with, the exploration of the United States and things of that nature. Like,
No, they were hard.
Dude.
No.
You could not be a soft fucking man doing that stuff, man. You just couldn't be. There was just no way. And I think the years of assault that the masculine community of men has taken from people, because I feel like for years there's been an assault on the masculinity of men. And, for a while it was like, oh, masculinity is bad. I don't know if you remember hearing that kind of stuff back probably a couple years ago. People talking about how, masculinity is a weakness.
Yeah.
And how
it's all propaganda to control.
Yeah. But it's like, you like, and like propaganda, it works on people. You know what I mean? So then you start to feel like, okay, maybe am I a part of that? Do I need to like lower my masculinity down? When in reality, most women are looking for a leader. Most women are looking
whether they know it or not.
Yeah, whether they
know it or not.
Yeah. Oh yeah, whether they deny it, she could be a rich woman, a poor woman, or whatever woman. No matter what, it is in her nature, just like it is in yours, to be a protective as a man and to stand up and stand in your masculinity and be strong, whether it's for your family or whether it's just for your own personal, your own personal beliefs in yourself. Women are the same way, and if you can stand in your masculinity and then, be a leader, dude, that's all they want. That's what she's looking for.
Yeah. They don't like, I mean, I still ask for opinions, of course, but like, they don't want like, hey babe, like, where do you want to go eat?
Yeah.
Or like, hey, like, maybe we should kind of like go and like, what do you think about this? Like, we are going here at this time. And
97% of the time, she's like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah. And she like, cool. Got it. Great. Yes, sir. Done. Like,
I mean, and obviously, I'm like, babe, what do you want? Like, I guess in the conversation of food, we could say like, it's a total back and forth conversation. But if I have to be like, okay, nobody's making a decision, we're going here. My wife's like, cool, take me.
Yeah.
Great. I don't give a fuck.
I do it everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be like, I have learned to just make a decision, and just it may not be the best decision, but was it Patton? Is it Patton who said it? Like a decent plan executed with violence or whatever, or with harsh, whatever the heck he said, something like with violence is better than a perfect plan.
Not
executed 3 weeks later.
Executed poorly.
But it's like, just make the decision, you know? Because like when you sit there, I'm a big kind of like, I believe in like energy, wavelengths, right?
Totally.
So like, you put, what you say, how you speak, what you say to yourself becomes reality. Oh yeah. Right. So if you're constantly, and I used to be this way, like, and I was led to believe this way by people in my life, but like, it was up to me to change that, of course, how I felt about myself or what I believed about myself. But like, if I'm sitting around here saying, I'm a piece of shit. Oh man, I really suck. Oh man, I'm just the worst. Which we already have a hard enough time as dudes not to self-deprecate.
Yes.
So, but being aware of that is huge, right? So like, talking to yourself, where was I going with this? I'm gonna be honest, I'm just having an ADHD moment all of a sudden.
You know what? I was going to bring up the Bible verse, life and death is in the power of the tongue, although I don't want to bring up the Bible, but I mean, like, I've lived by that. Like, you say something about yourself, and you put that out in the universe, whatever the fuck you want to call it. You put that out there. I truly believe that you can manifest specific, I don't want to say destinies, but what I am going to say is like, you can definitely manifest that direction. If you dedicate yourself and you tell yourself, I'm worthy of that, I can do that. Okay. For the longest time, when I started doing wildlife photography, I didn't go to school for it. I didn't take any classes for it. I didn't do nothing for it. I've never spent $1 on anything photography based in the sense of learning outside of books and YouTube. But I remember telling myself, like, I know that I can do something with this. I remember filming those sheep and looking at them and being around them and then realizing that they were kind of friendly towards me and like I could like fall asleep. Dude, I have videos of me like falling asleep next to them and and they're like sitting in front of me asleep on the ground. And I remember doing that and thinking to myself, like, I know I can do something with this. I know I can. And speaking that over myself, saying, I can make this successful. Yeah. I can do it. And I mean, it didn't happen overnight, but 3-4 years later, now here I am in a completely different place that I was when I started doing it. And I've learned that just that positive manifestation over myself. I'm going to be successful.
And you don't even have to be super direct either.
No.
It's just your attitude, right?
Yep.
Like case in point, like just like you're saying, like if you have that stubborn no quit mentality, that's enough. In my opinion, for most of these things.
Well, you can't be a quitter.
Yeah.
Shit gets hard. You just got to keep trying.
Right.
I mean,
but that is also putting energy into the universe. It's putting it out.
Yeah.
Like
he's not quitting.
He's not quitting. He's pushing for that. He has spoken. He wants this thing. So when I started in 2016, I lived in a fifth wheel trailer, had a bunch of kids, and worked out of this corner of a shop this big, literally this freaking big as this little studio right here.
Okay.
Is a corner of the shop I was working out of. I had written down on a piece of paper. I'm like, I've never started a business before. I've always been an entrepreneur, always wanted to do stuff. I've, sold my products that I would make, services and stuff as a kid. Nothing at any kind of scale, but like just, landscape, you name it, right? I was always figuring out ways to create revenue, right, for myself.
We're alike a lot more than you think. I
used to like sell worms.
Yeah, dude, I used to make biker gear. Okay. When I was in the Marine Corps, dude, I got real heavy into like the outlaw biker stuff. I was hanging out with like Mongols and shit like that, riding around. I got pictures, dude. You'll be like, I mean, obviously, I look the part. Yeah. But
profiling.
But once I started realizing that the shit started getting illegal, then that's kind of where I before I started like patching in, that's kind of where I started stepping out of the shadow, stepping out of the light a little bit. And eventually I kind of just like faded off. But I'm saying all that because for a time, dude, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do biker gear. Dude, I had so many and obviously I have ideas and we've had these discussions, but same thing. Like I've always tried to do stuff. Entrepreneurial. Be broke as fuck. Yep. You know what I mean? But trying to do something. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was sitting there and I wrote out, which is funny because like I had made I think I got taxes done is why this happened.
Okay.
I had gotten taxes done or I had finalized numbers for taxes, right? I just started the business. I just got the LLC. I made $3,000 the first year. $3,000. Oof.
But okay.
Okay. I'll go back into how we progressed.
Yeah.
But like, I only made $3,000, and I took a notepad. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to build a business. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
None of us do.
You know,
we just wing it.
I'm just intuitive enough to start putting stuff together product-wise, and I have to learn how to like sell it and get it out there and reproduce it. Right? So I wrote down this piece of paper. I was like, $1 million. Right? I want to make $1 million. Right? You know, anybody wants a business, that's like a threshold goal, right? I want to make $1 million in a year, right? It's like, okay, how can I make? I was trying to rationalize with myself and my wife at the time, like how we can
do this.
Like this is possible.
Yeah.
Right.
You see the goal in your mind. You're
right.
Like there's something in this.
Because there's a lot of doubt. Like tax guy's giving us doubt. You know, everyone's giving me doubt, and I'm like, you know, so I was trying to make sense of it, right? Just for myself at least. So I took $1 million and I divided the average, you know, cost that I didn't sell my holsters, whatever else buy, and I figured out how many units. Just did the easy math. How many units it would take to make $1 million? And I'm like, okay, it's that many units, okay. And then I divided it by the months, you know, 12. And I'm like, okay, I only have to sell that many. Yeah. That's not a huge number, right? So it's the power of, you know, consistent quantity, if that's even a term, right?
Yeah. But
like that, I did the math, and and to me, and so it made me believe it. I'm like, I have to get to these. I don't remember what those numbers were. I never kept them, but then it just knew in my head, like, I can get there. You know, next year I made $8,000. Hell yeah. Right? Tax guy's like, hell no. And he's like, he even told me, he's like, you got to do something different because this is not working.
Dude, fuck off.
I was like, fuck off.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know. You don't know what I'm trying to do.
I see this.
You know, and like, fuck you. You know, even people in my group, my church, something be like, you make any money?
Dude, why is it that fucking people are that way? No, I'm sorry, not people. Church people.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Some of the most negative people I have found are in church.
Oh my God.
In the prepossessing self.
I am telling you. Okay, we can go on a whole side subject. Go ahead and finish what you're saying. Because holy shit. To finish up
what I was saying,
they're the worst.
is I wrote down everyone. I mean, not everyone was doubting me, but. Yeah, probably were. I don't know. I don't remember much positivity at that time, but that could be my fault. So I wrote down the $1 million. Could make it. Went 3, 8, couple $100,000. I was tripling every year, and I kind of stagnated for a set of years. Well, guess what? We did $1 million. Well over $1 million this year already.
Yeah.
You know, a month and a half ago, we crossed the $1 million threshold. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Like,
you know what?
I mean, I don't have that in the bank. I mean, it costs, $1 million, $1,001 to run this place. But like,
it's there. It wouldn't be run unless it wasn't at least existent in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's $1 million being made in some way. Like you said, it might not be all in the bank, but there's $1 million.
But we generated it.
Yeah.
We
100%.
generated it.
Yep.
And then it was just me in a little corner.
Yeah.
And I've moved 100 times the business. It's been a...
Dude, we have such an alike story, man. I tell you, how many times I've moved, I had my family fucking just hate me for it. You know what I mean? You never hold down a job. You never do this. You know what I mean? You're always moving, and it was me just trying to search for that one fucking thing that I knew would stick. And I know I got good ideas. I know I could do good stuff, and it's like construction was just always my backup. But man, they fucking hated me, or both sides of my parents, God bless them, but I'm not going to get too far into it, but the lack of being there made me just have to do it myself.
Yeah.
My wife's parents, same way.
Like, I can understand that.
Dude, one time I ran out of gas. Damn it. I have to make sure that I block them before you post these ones. I'm just kidding, Mom and Dad. It's been years, but, it's like... Yeah, man. It's like, when you're trying to do something and everybody's just giving you fucking grief, you know what I mean? And I'm moving from one place. Dude, I've done everything. Marine Corps, fucking military contract work. I was a logger in Oregon.
That's where I come from.
Yeah, I lived near Coos Bay. I lived in a little town called Oakland near Sutherland and Roseburg. I was a logger, dude. I started off as a chaser, went down to the rigging, rigging slinger.
I know all that stuff. Yeah.
Dude. Okay, I did that for a while, you know, and it was just I was just trying to find where I could be, where I could just be happy. And it's like nobody in my family gave a shit about our happiness. All they cared about was staying close to us so we don't have to do that much work to come see you. That's always what it felt like. It's convenient for me that you stay here. You can pretty much be living in squalor, but as long as I'm down the street or I know that I can just drive to you because it takes almost zero effort from me, that's why I want you here.
Yeah. As long as you don't challenge me.
Yep.
As long as you don't make my life harder.
Yep. Yeah. And
I love you.
Yeah.
And everything's good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so every time we would move, like you said, move a million places. Dude, I've moved so many fucking places. Me and my wife have moving now, it's down to a science. We break down each room, boom, boom, boom. I mean, dude, it's fucking wow. We could be our own moving company. You know what I mean? Like we could run it easily. Either way. You know, now though, if it wasn't for me doing all that stuff, you know, I mean, now this for me is work. This is me working. This is a work day for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Me busting my ass and me trying to find that one thing and not giving up, you know, while I watch the rest of them work and do all day. They're at work all fucking day, 9-10 hours. Not me. I'm at home editing video. I'm walking fucking mountains. I'm hanging out with these fucking guys talking about pistol holsters and shit, and I'm getting paid for it. You know what I mean? So I guess I'm kind of laughing now. You know,
now they're proud of you.
Oh yeah. Now they're like, oh, you did a great job. Like, dude, you wouldn't even. I wouldn't have got it. It had nothing to do with you. It was everything about me not caring whether or not you were okay with it.
Yeah.
And that was the part of also, like, you know, being a father. You know what I mean? I know there's something better for my family. I know I could do better for my wife. I know I could give them more. Yeah. How can I get it there? And then once you can break away from the mindset, especially, not that mine was, but at times they were, if you can break away from the mindset of, I have to make sure that they're happy with what I'm doing. I lived with that my whole life, my whole fucking life. I mean, you know, it was always like, how can I make them happy? How can I make them happy? How can I make them feel better about what I do? I mean, shit, part of the reason why I joined the Marine Corps was to look good to my parents. Look, I can do this. I can achieve something. You know what I mean? I can do something more, you know? And once I was able to just, dude, I don't give a fuck what you think.
If it's rare, but like once you can find whatever it takes to get there, to get to that don't give a fuck factor, you have made it with your, like you've made it personally yourself. I mean, you haven't like made it. You still got to deal with yourself. Still, you still got issues. Obviously, but I don't want to put a blanket on like if you get to that point, you're good to go. That's not necessarily true. But the mentality part, yes. When you've reached that point, and maybe that's not healthy. Who fucking knows? I think it is.
I think it is too.
Because it's a way of keeping your mind clear within reason. It's a way of it's a way of regulating what you care about, what affects you, what you want to put energy towards and dealing with. Is not giving a fuck.
And it's like, and then having parents that don't, like, if for the men out there, like if you don't have family that can back you up all the time, it has to be something where you can say, I'm okay with that. I don't need to have them as my backrest. You know what I mean? And honestly, it makes you a stronger person, dude. Because now I know I don't need them for anything. Like I really don't. Like my parents, I live in Montana. My parents don't even live in the same state. Neither does my in-laws. Nobody lives in Montana. It's just me, my wife, and my 3 kids. That's the only part of the Martinez family. Although a common name, like we already discussed, however many Martinez's there are in Montana, I can only fucking imagine. But David Martinez is, like I said, when I go to the DMV, it's like, hold on. We need to like whittle you down to like the last 2 of your social security number to make sure we're talking to the right David Martinez. But I'm just saying, like, once you can get to that point where, you know, I know that I'm confident in myself. Well,
I agree. And we got to shut this down because of the cameras, but I'll say one thing to add to that. Like, once you get to, when you get to that point, or let me put it this way, you don't want it to be like that. Okay?
No, you don't.
You don't want it to be like that.
No.
But you have learned to get to that point because you realize at some point that that's what had to happen.
It had to.
Right?
Totally
you don't want that. You don't want to be. You want to be such a tight-knit fucking team. You want to be rubbing elbows with all your siblings and parents. You want that.
See, but because of that, I treat my family differently now. I make sure it's like this. That's why I told you, like, you know, in the spring and the summer, you know, man, we go camping. I try to include my kids as much as I can with what I do. As much, I mean, I was literally just doing a shooting school, you know, up in Ennis, and I had my kids there with me as much as I could professionally, because I was at work, obviously. But, you know, like, I want them to look back and be like, dude, all our fucking parents did was hang out with us. That's all they did. Like, other than, like, they might have had a couple friends here and there that they might go somewhere, but, you know, that one sounds close, huh? Man, that sounds like a big one.
Yeah.
You know, but I want them to see us that way, as like, because, you know, it wasn't really that way for me, and I'm okay with that now. I wasn't years ago, but now I'm like, okay, I'll make sure that I put in that extra effort as a father, you know, and as a man, that when my parents look back and say, man, my dad, you know, he always tried. He was always there. He was so much a part of everything that we did, you know, and he was always there in the sense of trying to keep us together. You know, I haven't talked to my sister in like 5 years. For what reason? I don't know. But in my family, that would never happen. If I found out that my son hadn't talked to my daughter in 5 fucking years, oh, we'd be having a motherfucking sit down. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, we're getting everybody on the phone right fucking now, because that's not how this family runs. This family is tight knit. If Monroe needs I have David, Monroe, and Presley. Presley's my youngest one. You know, if one of them needs help, I want them to be able to look at that other person and say, I need your help, and it not be judged. I'm your brother. Absolutely, come in. You know what I mean? Like that's the way I want my family to be. You know, and that's what I strive for. You know, is to try to be that way, because it wasn't really like that for me. You know what I mean? It wasn't that same feeling. You know, and even now, years later, it's still not that way. You know, but I've again made peace with it. But now I know what I'm aiming for. You know, I have a goal.
Well, kudos to you for recognizing that.
And
like patterns and you know, motion control and these patterns of what you experienced with whatever walk of life. Acknowledging those things, and then making efforts to address and adjust them for your children. Like, that's super admirable.
Thank you. I tried.
You know, but like, it's a big deal. It really is. Like, 'cause like you're aware of it happening. Or what?
You're aware.
Like, just being aware of, like, okay, I can't, like, just, I mean, as simple as it sounds, just simply being aware is more powerful than people realize. Dude. And it's just not as common. I feel like it should be more common. But, like, just being aware is enough. Because, like, okay, this happened to me. Okay, now because you'll catch yourself, like, you repeating what you've experienced. Right? You'll catch yourself repeating. If you're being aware, you'll catch yourself and be like, okay, I just repeated something I did not like when I was XYZ age or this other experience. I just repeated that. Okay, check. How do I address this differently next time?
How do I make the adjustment so that I'm not implementing that same kind of feeling or doing that same thing that I wasn't, that I didn't enjoy as a kid.
Super powerful.
I agree. I agree with you.
All right. Well, David.
Yeah, man.
Martinez, the most popular name
in Montana.
This side of Montana.
And not for the reason that it's popular, but because there's a billion of us.
Thank you for stopping by. Where can we get in touch with you and see what you got going on?
Okay, so I'm on Instagram. In These Mountains is the handle. Also on TikTok, In These Mountains. And then obviously on the internet, www.inthesemountains.com.
I love the consistency.
And then inside of the website, that's all of the guide hunting stuff, pictures if people want to buy stuff, or hiring, you know, if people are interested in hiring or anything like that, you know, that's in there.
Perfect.
So, yes, sir.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
it was a great,
thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
All right, brother.